Thank you so much for tuning in to Dead Letter Omissions tonight, where we discuss everything current underground. My name's Steve, and my most excellent co-hosts are Maggie May and the profound horror author, Mr. Jeremy Dyson, who also produces the show. I'm extremely excited tonight. It's going to be a different show, but we got Mr. Autry Fulbright and
welcome.
Fulbright. Oh my God, dude! I'm relating it to my social studies teacher junior year.
Oh, I was like, your social security number? Well, give me that number along with your routing number and let me see.
We'll clarify who you really are.
We'll figure it out. I have a Nigerian prince who will figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have one too. I also have a Nigerian friend.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting how we met, and I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but I didn't even know you were a musician until I saw a picture of you on a website where you were in front of, like, I don't know, at least 20,000 people, and we met on pretty much a Jehovah's Witness.
They call that a super spreader event now.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, how are you handling what's going on? A lot more recording, or
not well? No, just kidding. I mean, I'm doing fine. I mean, it's a challenge for everybody, but it's from what I can definitely relate to is that, growing up, we were told nothing but the most dire of imminent realities that we'd have to face, and so with the way the world has changed pretty drastically recently, it's just more like, oh wow, like this kind of reminds me of what I was told to
Armageddon.
Well,
it's like that red book, the Revelation book. You remember
I remember that because I worked at Bethel.
No shit.
I was a Bethelite. I had to ship those books to you.
Wow.
You
unwitting. Wow.
That's quite intense.
And to those people that don't know what that means in regards to, like, any other Christian religion, what would a Bethelite mean? Or
Bethelite
what would
is like they would be like the SS Guard.
No, that's good. That's
well, they'd be like the Sea Org.
It's really not that funny.
No, but that's good. That's a good comparison.
It would Jehovah's Witnesses, there is definitely a clear hierarchy, which is how they retain control of their members, and part of it is exchanging this idea of prestige or authority in exchange for labor and blind obedience. And that is something that I recognize. Like, I grew up, my father was an elder. My mom was a regular pioneer. She still is a regular pioneer. And they don't offer you very much in that religion, but the idea of having this privilege of service, being a full-time evangelist, first when I became, baptized at a young age. So you're indoctrinated and you're locked in early age, but that's supposed to be something they praise. So you're feeling good about it. Then when I was 18, I became
Can I ask what age you were, like, kind of indoctrined, or,
Well, I mean, I think the specific term, what they love to use, is inculcating things in your children. And my mom was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. She actually discovered it through a neighbor of hers, like in 1965. And my mom, being the product of a single parent household, felt an attraction. She felt drawn to the idea of this patriarchy, this idea of a heavenly father, this idea of, a father figure that would give her everything that she felt was missing in her 8-year-old, world. Of course, that 8-year-old stayed perpetually 8 with the idea of this father figure. And my mom eventually, being a very strong woman, she got married, had my half sister, got divorced out of a very difficult marriage, but as you know, those are not uncommon in the religion. Then
True.
met my father in Los Angeles in the late 70s. He was a music manager and a DJ, and my mom was a professional singer-songwriter. And he managed her band. And yeah, she eventually, after a period of inactivity, returned full on to being a Jehovah's Witness. My dad converted. And so from the time I was born in LA through, you know, probably text messages that I have failed to open, my mom is still trying to get me back in the religion. But I never just was disfellowshipped or disassociated because that's their rule. It's like, I don't work at Walmart anymore. I don't have to wear this name tag.
Right.
So it's like, it's like when she was like, well, you need to tell them. I'm like, I don't have to do anything. Tell them to send my check to my, oh, wait, no, I'm not getting a check from them. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't need to do anything.
You never
I can just leave.
You never accepted that vow
But,
or whatnot.
well, I still became I was baptized when I was 15 because that fed the ego of being the young, faithful witness. And then when I was 18, I became a regular pioneer and I became a ministerial servant, like on my 18th birthday.
Oh my fucking Christ.
And in your mind, you're like,
I know how
oh,
that
whoa,
works.
this is amazing. But that is a tactic in itself to keep someone beholden to the religion. Yeah, within this guise of, I got this little armband and I got this little button, so like I get to be the authority. It was like during the civil unrest this summer when you have young people that are being told that they have control when in reality they have no control.
Yeah.
But that's a way to control them, giving them some sense of authority to abuse.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I don't know what it's like to grow up as a Jehovah's Witness, other than my hearing the stories of my husband and my best friend, who is my husband's sister, so my sister-in-law. But I actually grew up a good time of my life as a
Pentecostal, which is
Pentecostal
like
Christian. And so within the Pentecostal Christian religion, there's so many I don't even know the words.
well, it's
just
bizarro.
become so
Another
submissive.
bizarro religion.
It's very bizarre, and you know the submissiveness of it is just it's incredible. You know, I grew up, you know, within a Pentecostal Christian church. They thought that girls cannot wear makeup, they cannot wear jewelry, they cannot wear pants, they can't climb trees, they can't watch TV. I mean, for me, I guess over all these years, is seeing these Christian thoughts and ideals is that women are so submissive and that you can't do so much. You are just, as a woman, you are literally just pushed back, and you know you're controlled by men, and a man can beat you, and a man can control you, and you cannot, you know, wear pants, and if you wear a long skirt, it has to be so much of a slit between your knees, and it's just really incredible.
Well, I would say this. I would say, like you were saying before, like when, you know, you see certain things that are patternized and, you know, the youth is going to speak out. Like I also see, and we talk about it all the time, the cultism of like, you know, just the partisanship, you know, like you're right wing or left wing, like nobody's talking. It kind of fits back into that mentality of what, you know, the control system that, you know, I think that religion provided. But I do see some similarities with, you know, especially we grew up in a place where it wasn't really pronounced that it would be a good idea to go to college or, you know, really pursue your best interests or, you know, follow your heart. And I think right now, like it's just kind of exemplified by Christianity in general and how it's a control system, and the Jehovah's Witness has almost become more cartoonish, I think.
Within that, I would
But
actually like to
I don't want to go too far with it.
go into a couple of your songs. You have some.
Uh-oh.
I if it's upsetting to you, please interrupt me and tell me not to go here.
I'm sure he wants to talk about his songs and not Jehovah's Witness kid shit all night.
No, I do want to talk about your songs,
which I do appreciate, Autry. Thank you.
I don't know. It just depends on the question, I guess.
All right. So I have listened to almost everything that was on YouTube. I spent hours over the last couple of days listening to everything that was online on YouTube.
Oh, Midnight Masses.
And
you got
going with
Oh yeah, I don't really do. I left Trail of Dead about a year and a half ago. I play with this girl named Zella Day now.
Could you
I play
please
with Zella Day, and then I play with a project called Night Beats and a few other things. So everything online is from things that I, moving forward, have will probably inform any question that you have, because nothing online is anything that I'm planning on doing in the future.
that you're recently doing? All right.
No,
so,
all of that. I left Trail a year ago, and I've been working with Zella and Night Beats recently. I just haven't said anything about it because it's kind of a.
So is that the female girl, the female that you're working with a lot?
Zella Day. Yeah, I do work with Zella.
About in Midnight Masses, you had a female that was singing alongside.
There's a few girls in Midnight Masses, I guess, throughout the years. Sorry, I'm checking on my cat. No? No, if you want. Go ahead. What was your question?
My question was within the Midnight Masses that you have a particular female that's working with you. And Preacher's Son, it seems like, and a Desperate Man. I was a Desperate Man, and I was wondering, who is that girl? How did you know her? How did you meet her? She's a beautiful singer, and she seems like a great musician. So who is that girl? How did you meet her, and where did she come from?
That's Destiny Montague. She lives in New York now, and we were in 2 bands together, and Midnight Masses was the second band. But now she is like a computer programmer in New York. She lives in Brooklyn. And I don't think she does much music. I've talked to her this year about working on some other stuff that I've been doing this year, but we haven't recorded anything yet. All of that Midnight Masses stuff is from many years ago.
I noticed that. Yeah. So that brings me to the question: is that
Mm-hmm.
when did you become a part of the band, and when did you start the band, and how did you become, a part of the bandmates that you were doing with the album? What is the album that we're working on now? I'm trying to look. Departures.
I recorded Departures. I recorded a lot of Departures after my father died about 12 years ago. He died very suddenly of an aortic dissection, January 10th, 2008. So shortly after that, I started writing some songs with a friend of mine who would actually eventually be in another project with me called And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead, which was like a indie rock band that's still around, but I've since departed. A lot of them are kind of like processing different things about, my upbringing and about the grief that came with my father's death. Yeah. And Destiny was in Shock Cinema with me, and then she and I were a couple for a period of time, and then we're not very close as much as we now because I mean we've moved on. I've known her for about like 15 years or more than that. And yeah, she's doing well. I probably talked to her within the last week or so.
So she's not doing any like new music on Departures or your new album.
She was not on Departures. By the time I had recorded Departures, there was another band. Departures was more of midnight masses with a revolving cast of people that were playing with me. People from a bunch of different other bands. Some of them from like yeah, I think some from like Atoms for Peace, some guys that played with Radiohead, some with a band called TV on the Radio. Just a bunch of different people were on that project. One of the members of TV on the Radio was raised Jehovah's Witness as well.
Yeah.
The keyboardist on Departures was Ike Owens. He was a member of Jack White's band and this band called the Mars Volta, but he passed away about 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Shame.
I'm familiar with the
It
Mars
seems that way.
Volta.
Yeah, it seems.
Actually, you know what? When you were singing Midnight Masters, it kind of reminded me of Sparta. A little
Of
bit.
Sparta?
Yeah, I kind of had that feel.
Sparta, Jim's band. Yeah, I know Jim very well.
Yeah,
We did go down
I had that same vibe. What was your
Cool.
entry point as far as like falling out from being a Jehovah's Witness? Like the maybe the album that you hid kind of behind your back until.
Oh, my
you
parents would
parted
always find it. My mom made me throw away like this Pavement CD, this band called Pavement. She had like probably like Nirvana records that she had me throw out, and comic books, and now I'm on a management team for this artist named Thundercat, and the reason why he loves Thundercat so much is actually, one of the reasons was his mom forbade him from getting too deep into things of that nature, and it's similar with the Jehovah's Witnesses have to deal with it, and it
Like
was kind of
He-Man had like Mumbra and like or Skeletor. Well, Mumbra was Thundercats, right? But they all had like
I don't
some
even know, but yeah,
pagan
everything could
demonic
have been
name.
used. Yeah, we had a lot up against us with trying to get anything like fun in the house. But as many parents are, there was kind of a sliding scale of
Yeah, but you'd get a
being
GI
strict.
Joe, and they would put all the guns in like a glass jar.
Oh, I think my parents at first they didn't let me keep the guns for GI Joes, but I think eventually they did. It's funny because I don't know. It was it's just funny how everything that you kind of like are told against, like don't do that. Like that's what you definitely are drawn to. And me like playing in bands that have a lot of like dark imagery and stuff like that is kind of much to my mom's chagrin. But I'm like,
Oh yeah,
well, that's
I
what
went like
you're.
right to like
That's,
yeah. I was like, all right, G.G. Allen, King Diamond, like whatever was the most disruptive bullshit.
yeah.
Like that was immediately what I was, You are a number again.
Oh, he's just a number.
Sorry, someone is calling me for work.
Well, we can
call
let
them
you
back.
go.
No, it's fine.
You call them back. Please call them back.
I actually can't. I can't. Hold on. Let me see. I will try to message them later. Can you hear? Can you see me now? Can you see me?
We see your
I-
head.
yeah. I've been able to see like the top 2.5 inches of
Of
the
your
top
head.
of your head.
Your head.
Well, you can see the
Sometimes
dumpster
I-
on fire, right?
Yeah, that's
I
all that
see.
matters.
I can't.
We do
Okay,
see
great.
the dumpster
Yeah.
on fire.
That's fine.
All right. I
right.
have looked into quite a bit today. And looked into Midnight Masses and looked into a lot of your songs. Preacher's Son and Rapture, Broken Mirror, and Desperate Man. And it was super, super deep. And I wanted to know if you had anything that you would want to say about like the depth of the connection of those songs in the darkness of all that, because it is super dark. And I would really like to know if
Dark
you
like
would.
what? Like what? Like give an example.
Well, I would say with Rapture, uh, within the video of going from kind of abused knees, going from like a Bible study to extremely bruised knees, and then jumping outside of a window. Um,
A Bible
and
study?
are you
Oh,
not
you're
here?
talking about the video for "Do You Believe in Rapture"?
Rapture, yeah.
Do you? No,
Uh,
the song is called "Do You Believe in Rapture." That's a Sonic Youth cover.
oh well, from what I saw, and then I went from what I was a desperate man, and the lyrics were like empty battle, jealous God, and lost rights. I recognized a symptom of,
Well, I guess was there a
religion
reason you covered
and
that song?
leaving religion.
Let's see. I was a desperate man. I remember when I wrote it. There's a song that Kip Malone from TV on the Radio had on a his an album that he did, a solo album, and he referred to himself as a desperate bitch. And I was like, man, calling yourself desperate is like really opening yourself up and being vulnerable and honest. And I like the idea of that. And I Was a Desperate Man's cadence was kind of inspired by this artist named Bill Callahan. He had a project called Smog. And there's a song called Cold Blooded Old Times. And I kind of just like the way that the strum went of that song. So I remember thinking the idea of a song called "I Was a Desperate Man," and based off of Kip's song from the same similar vein, and then that song "Cold Blooded Old Times." I wanted to write a song that sounded like that, and then I'm trying to think about the lyrics. I could kind of remember it's. I was a desperate man, empty bottle in my hand. Um, in a way, I guess I wanted to. I just thought that sounded cool. And I was alluding to Kurt Cobain's suicide, like the loaded shotgun in my hand part. I was kind of alluding to a sense of loss and death and ascension to like a suicide, like a meteoric rise, and then a very catastrophic like ending. And at the end of that song, on the video, there's just this kind of outro. The music video is just like this twinkling outro, which is supposed to be like transcendence, like ascending to heaven or a rapturous, ascension. But live, the group chorus was "Hear the angels calling, surely we are cursed. Watch the demons falling, falling from the earth." And that just refers to like the Jehovah's Witness like propagandic artwork that we would always see like growing up. You guys remember that if you see like the angels being cast out of heaven. That was kind of just alluding to that, just because I thought it was like it was a crazy image to remember. That was one of the images that really came out of Jehovah's Witnesses. It was kind of indelibly etched in my mind, that very, very graphic imagery of Satan and his demons being cast out to heaven. So woe to the earth. So all the problems that we have of being a desperate man, being alcoholics, being suicidal,
Yes.
having a sort of inner conflict was actually caused by the outro. The outro is almost telling the story of the why
I have some questions.
after I described the what, But also, I mean, for that song in particular, and for a lot of songs, it's just kind of art. It's like using the blood that you bleed to paint a picture. It's just a way
Absolutely.
to, you know, I guess, use whatever you had as fodder for creativity.
Autry.
Also, oh, go ahead. There's one thing I have to mention too, because I've never even talked to people about the song. There was a Crosby, Stills, and Nash song that I forget that it was on their first album, and it had a really beautiful. It's like, hear them calling, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the multi-layered like harmonies of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and that's what I kind of wanted. I wanted this very joyous thing to also be talking about something that was so terrible and terrifying. And we kind of had to grow up with that with Kingdom Melodies. It's like all those like, let's watch how we walk and watch how we talk, and
Dude, I still know all the words.
Yeah, and it's weird
Terrible.
because that is part of trauma. Those are scars. Those are things that we're like definitely trying to instill in us, but they were done in such this joyous delivery that's kind of weird. And for me, I was able to take kind of this idea of like, oh wow, I could be singing about something that's like terrifying, but if I have like all these people harmonizing and singing it, it could end up being really cool.
Yeah, there's really no structure or musical talent. It wasn't like a gospel choir by any means, but once you left, like what was the rebellion in music? I mean, why did you
What do you
go?
mean? What was the? I always listened to the same music like since I was a kid. So
No,
my
not
dad.
necessarily that, but as far as making it a career and
Oh
being
yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, my mom was a professional, vocalist and songwriter, and then my dad worked in like broadcasting and in music when I was very little, when before I was born. So I guess it was always in me. And growing up, I had concerts at Jehovah's Witness gatherings or whatever. We'd have our PA system, and we'd play covers and stuff and change the lyrics if we had to. But
yeah, we did
yeah,
that.
I
I
was in.
actually did Vanilla Ice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like me and my two buddies. It's very embarrassing. But we got IOU sweaters and Raiders hats.
Is that on tape somewhere, I hope?
It is on VHS. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we
special
had the
episode.
Jehovah's Witness girls be the fly
Try
girls
cheesy.
from like In Living Color. And they were Running Man in front of us.
Oh my God.
So, Autry, who are
You
some
can
of
cut that out, I think.
who do you think are some of your biggest influences musically?
Probably like the Minutemen.
Hell yeah.
I like
Mike Watt.
Can a lot. Thomas Rother. A lot of German stuff.
Like krautrock stuff.
Yeah. Big fan of like Thomas Rother and early
said
like
Can.
Kraftwerk. I like Todd Rundgren. I like Sonic Youth. I like. Fortunately, I've been able to work with a lot of cool people too, I guess. So that's been fortunate for me, as I left the religion and kind of was already going to shows, and I was in a band. I was a ministerial servant and still had a band. I'd play in clubs like after the meetings. I'd go to the meetings and play in clubs with my wife because I was married to a regular auxiliary pioneer. And we had like a little punk band with two friends from mine, and nobody really knew about it, I don't think, but I was in a congregation that they kind of were a little bit more lenient about it. But I would play shows, and through that I started meeting a lot of musicians. And by the time I finally left the religion, I already kind of knew a bunch of people in music, so that kind of helped me kind of make that transition. And I just started.
Oh, how did you get hooked up with Walter?
Oh man, I met Walter because I had joined this band called "And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead," and those guys remember me when I was still a Jehovah's Witness, and they remembered when I was married and I was in a band, and I eventually moved to New York, and a couple of the guys from that band from Trail of Dead moved there, and I started working on a record with them about 10 years ago. And at the time I was still doing Midnight Masses too. They had taken Midnight Masses on tour. My dad had passed away, and my mom was, didn't know what to do with his ashes. She was expecting he was going to walk hand in hand with her to the New Order. So I got the ashes and vowed to like put his ashes in 58 places all over the world based off of this little story. My dad was really into music. And as hard as he worked on, public talks and the Theocratic Ministry School, he was definitely a scholar on the subject of music. He loved grunge. He loved like a bunch of newer bands. He would take me to concerts and festivals and all that. And so one day he sat me down and showed me the picture of Abbey Road with the VW Beetle that says 28 if. And he's like, see, Paul would have been 28 if he were alive. He's telling me all the Paul is dead lore and the idea of like John being an all white, like an angel or a preacher. And then, Paul out of step with everyone, barefoot with a cigarette, meaning that he's dead. George being the gravedigger because he's all in jeans. And then Ringo being a pallbearer because he's dressed like in a really nice suit. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with that, but that was very important to the fact that
can I ask
away
about,
from
did you say Midnight is a short film? Now is nowhere.
Is that frozen on?
before I answer that, I have to move back to answer his question with Walter.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
He asked me about Walter, so this is all factored in. By the time I met with Trail of Dead, joined that band, we brought Wolves on, and then Walter ended up I asked him to be in the short film I was making for us, and then finally he and I just I worked for a band, and I was just like, hey, like I have this idea for a band. It was kind of based off this other project called Off. I like the idea of like a rock and roll like group. And I just asked a few people, and Walter wanted to do it. So yeah, we're working on a new record right now, but it takes us a long time to do it. But yeah, Walter was just a former tour mate and subject of a film that I made, and then we decided to make some music together every 5 years or so. And 5 years is up. We kind of have some demos right now that we're back and forth with. One of the guys is in Bad Religion now, which is kind of funny because that was such a taboo band growing up, but I loved it. But anyway, what was it?
We totally froze, so I did not hear anything about that.
Okay.
I was just asking about the
okay.
short film. I was asking about the short film. Now Here Is Nowhere.
Yeah. You didn't get anything about Walter?
No,
No.
yeah, no, I
Hello?
did.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
it
Okay.
got recorded. They just didn't hear it.
Oh, I think we froze.
I heard all of it. They didn't hear it.
Oh, okay.
But so it's all
Okay.
on tape. Don't worry
All
about
right.
it. They'll hear
I
it
mean,
later.
yeah,
I'll edit that.
and just a
Yeah.
side note. I mean, what Walter is such a huge influence. I know to me and Jeremy when that album came out.
Yeah, you should clarify who you're talking about, Steve, because people don't just know Walter. And
Walter. All right, this has been like 30 years.
He's talking about Walter Cronkite,
Yes.
Walter guy.
famed. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
He is a really.
Schreiels. How do you say his last name? That's why I call
Schreifels,
him.
Walter Schreifels.
Yep.
Schreifels.
Yeah, we're talking about
Schreifels,
Youth
yeah.
Today, Gorilla Biscuits. I mean, he's.
Why is he just?
Yeah,
he's
I went down a big rabbit hole the other day because when Steve told me that you were going to be coming on, I was like reminiscing about Quicksand, because Quicksand was actually one of the first shows I saw, which was back at like the very first Warped Tour. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Quicksand goes like way back for both of us. It's definitely like a major influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Um,
Vanishing Life album is awesome. I'm glad to hear you guys are doing another one.
oh, thanks. I mean, we're doing some. We're doing something. Jamie has since joined Bad Religion, and Zach is in Rise Against now. But the three of us have all written an album's worth of material that now we're kind of sending to Walter and a few other people that might be guesting on it as well. Jim Ward was very, very narrowly in Vanishing Life.
Yeah.
From at the drive-in. I talked to him a little bit about joining the band. We had discussed some ideas, but then one day at a festival in Austin, Zach Blair was taking a break from Rise Against, and he was like, "I'm going to be in your band." And I did, like, Walter and I didn't really know him very well, but he was like, "Okay, cool." And the Descendants were playing. Jack Black was there with like a turkey leg in one hand and like an ice cream cone in the other. And he's like, "Dude, I'm gonna be in your band." And Walter and I are like, "Okay." And then the guitarist Steven, yeah,
Okay.
the guitar. No, Zach, not Jack.
Okay.
And then the guitarist from the Descendants hands Zach his guitar, and Zach just goes up there and like plays a song perfectly. And then Walter and I were like, "Okay, this guy's in our band." And so actually Zach was just here. He could have been on the podcast too if it was like literally 3 days ago. He was just in town working on some Rise Against stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, it was lucky to leave the Jehovah's Witness thing and then to join up with a bunch of bands that I really
Cool
liked
people.
and admired growing up.
Good for
I
you,
was
man.
lucky that
Well,
they adopted the religious weirdo in.
Well, is there anything you want to promote before we go?
Not really.
You're
I'm
like
doing a lot of
skateboarding around the garbage
things
can.
during COVID right now, but sorry. There you go. I'm working on this. I'm keeping this fire going on behind me right there.
Yeah,
Gonna put some
clearly
ribs
it's
on.
real hot garbage can.
Yeah, you got to give it some hot ribs.
But yeah,
I actually did have a couple of questions.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the studio that you guys recorded Departures.
Yeah,
you
there was
guys
a couple
had-
studios.
that you had said something about Sonic Ranch, and you
Yeah.
had really made it sound like a spa almost, like an oasis.
Oh
And
yeah, Sonic Ranch is really cool. It's like
I
a
wanted to ask about that.
It's like a 2,200 acre pecan farm. A lot of cool bands have recorded there. Trail Dead was there for a bit. Hanson, actually, my
Yeah.
first record there, Hanson came by while we were recording, and we recorded a song with them that never will see the light of day.
Are you serious?
But yeah, but it was fun at the time. Yeah, it's a great place right on the border of Texas and Mexico, right near Juarez. Pretty crazy.
El
It's a
Paso.
weird place to. Yeah, it's right outside El Paso, about 20 miles east.
I did my
But you could,
research.
yeah.
I looked in, I did the tour. I did a tour from several different bands doing that tour. And it looks like it's like an oasis almost.
It's really
There was,
cool.
there was a gym, and it looks like there was a game room and a pool room. And
Yeah.
it looked like the everything was really incredible as far as, the music, the guitars, the sound waves. It looked like a really incredible place.
Yeah, there's been cool records there. I've recorded 4 records there. I did 2 Midnight Masses sessions. I did actually a Midnight Masses record there recently. I just haven't released the record. So there's new Masses stuff that I recorded there fairly recently.
I actually want to ask about that too.
Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm checking on my
actually
cat.
available now?
Is it what?
Is everything from Departures available now? Because I listened to a lot of your stuff all day long. So is Departures, the new album, is that available or is it released now?
I don't know if there is. I don't know if there is going to be. I mean, in the way it is. I've recorded a lot of other stuff that's coming out before that. I don't really know what the status of the follow-up to Departures is. I mean, there's been enough songs that I've recorded at Sonic Ranch with the last iteration of the band to release something. I just don't know. I mean, right now I've got a lot of other stuff going on, and I don't really feel like visiting masses at the time, but who knows?
You too.
It's sitting at my neighbor. My neighbor is in a band called the Airborne Toxic Event, which is that and Trail of Dead, two of the most unfortunate names for bands right now.
No, I thought Trail of Dead was good when it came out. It was longer.
But,
it was like the first really long band.
But Airborne, yeah. But my bandmate in Midnight Mass is the most recent iteration of it. He's been working on mixes for it for some time now, and I'm just like, I mean, I have this other project called Eye Contact that'll have a record out soon, but there's like there's nothing about Eye Contact anywhere on the internet. No one knows.
I listened to everything that was
about Eye Contact yet.
Available. So I listened to things Black Mirror and 6 years ago, and I listened to
Broken Mirror.
Available. Yes, I listened to everything that was absolutely available to me, as far as
there's like probably like 5 Trail of Dead records. And then there's a couple of Midnight Masses record, then a couple of Shut Cinema records. But I'll be releasing a lot of stuff next year. This has been I've gotten more into like doing creative direction and music management, which is kind of what I like much more. So I still have some records coming out though.
I'm looking for
You'll be very
Well, Autry, man.
Well, you'll be very surprised at who I am working on a record with.
I can't wait to hear it.
Is this undisclosed?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you can't.
Yeah, I can't say it yet, but it's really awesome.
Dog.
No. I had a tattoo of it. I had a tattoo of the band before I ever met them, so I'm pretty excited.
Like, is that like a Black Flag logo? Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
I guess I was the only person.
Well, hey, man, I want to keep in touch with you. I really do. And, see what happens for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we met, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Really Thank you for being here.
Cool, man.
Like, it was cool. And if you're ever in the Chicago area and you need
indeed.
I got you. For sure. But is there anything
thanks a lot. I don't know if I'll be out there anytime soon.
Well, we'll be here.
But also my Black Flag my Black Flag tattoo is now a Weird Al Yankovic tattoo.
Really? Mine's turning into a block.
It doesn't work. It does not work.
It's garbage.
Nice.
I
Well, thanks again. Yeah, it was nice talking to you guys.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
Yeah.